The dividing line has grown so exponentially big that a lot of people don't think that there is a way to bridge it. I am of the mind that you actually can bridge it. I think the biggest issue on the domestic side, obviously, we know Israel is the biggest issue when it comes to foreign policy. But when it comes to domestic policy, to me, the single biggest issue that we face at home is corporate special interests controlling our government. The importance of electing representatives that are not bought and paid for by corporate special interest money, to me, is something that should cover all political ideologies. This is not something that's a left or right thing. We know about, obviously the 2016 primary with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and that was really the first time that became a major talking point amongst the populace. And now today, it seems that the America First movement is very much focused on the need to get away from the corporate infrastructure. Your thoughts on that?
So let me give you the perfect example of that. My father travels back and forth to Colombia a couple times, 3 or 4 times a year. There's one medication that I take on a daily basis. I can get that medication over the counter in Colombia without a prescription for about $6. If I get it here with my copay, because I have Florida Blue insurance, with my copay, it's $30. And my health insurance is $600 a month because I'm 45 years old. Okay, so that is one specific example of how broken our healthcare system is because of all of the special interest. I mean, all of the pharmaceutical interest, it's crushing our daily lives. We're not able to afford to live because of the special interest money in politics, because they want us to pay more as consumers for our insurance, for our medication. It affects every single one of us, even if you don't, most people are like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There is something that we can do about it.
Well, that leads us to what I still think is the big issue that is going to have a breakthrough in conservative politics, and that is the issue of single-payer healthcare. In my opinion, this is the only way forward. It's what works all over the world. This is not ideological in any way, as far as I'm concerned, because as somebody who leans libertarian on a lot of issues, this is the most cost-effective way to run a system. It's not government-run. We don't need government-run healthcare, but we do need the government to answer to the will of the people. So if we're paying what we're paying into healthcare, I want the for-profit middlemen the hell out of our system. We don't need Florida Blue. We don't need United. We don't need Aetna or Cigna. And we sure as hell don't need Big Pharma. We already saw what happened during COVID. I'm sure that was probably one of the reasons why you moved back to Florida. As people who identify on the populist left side of politics, we stood our ground and we said, there is no such, if you want to live in a free country, you cannot have mandates. No such thing. If you believe in that shit, you're in the wrong country. And so there were people who didn't necessarily see it that way, but I try to remind them that you do understand if we had a single payer system, that whole, you have to take this or you are going to lose your job, that shit wouldn't exist because the people would be in control.
You're 100% correct. And that's one reason why on the state level, I'm concerned about who our next governor is going to be, because we all know every time we walk out the door, I mean, I am literally meeting with people every single day. We know if we didn't have Governor DeSantis, America's governor, that Florida would be completely different. I mean, the whole country would be completely different. Florida leads the way for our entire nation. So, I mean, to your point, we have to fix some of these issues. We're just absolutely killing the middle class day after day after day. And it's not about, we don't need to get out there and bash Randy Fine every day. We'll bash him every once in a while. But at the end of the day, what is this election about? Every single Republican in Congress needs to be talking about affordability. People can't afford to eat. Let me give you a perfect example. I'm a general contractor working on a job site down by the MCO, Orlando's airport. I had a homeowner call me and she said, Aaron, there's a dog out back. Did you did you know that? And I said, no, what are you talking about? And so I went and investigated. That was the 6th dog that they had found dumped this year. And why? Because people can't afford to feed their pets. Okay, if people can't afford to feed their pets, Republicans need to get off their ass, start actually doing something to bring down the cost of all of our products. We need to stop printing money, sending every country on the planet. It's not just Israel. I mean, we send money everywhere, every single day. We have got to do better every day.
Well, I would say that even though monetary theory is probably not something that's on your radar per se, it is very important to distinguish, and this is one of the things that ends up happening when people say our tax dollars that I want to be very clear about. The Fed, and listen, we're for ending the Fed. So let's put that out there. The Fed prints the money, and then the powers that be decide how that money gets spent. And then we as taxpayers don't have any say in it. And so we need people on Capitol Hill that will actually make this distinction. It becomes this whole, well, the taxpayers pay and then the government is funded. It doesn't work that way. So when they just decide, okay, we're giving another 100 billion with a B over to Israel, then that needs to be a clear distinction. We, as Thomas Jefferson said many a moons ago, when the government no longer fears the people, you have tyranny. It's when you have the government fearing the people that you have liberty. And that's what needs to turn around. We don't have federally elected legislators on Capitol Hill, minus Thomas Massie and maybe a few others, that actually believe in this actual concept of we the people. We need to put people in federally elected office where that becomes the mainstay again. I think you will have a real chance. Obviously, you need to raise capital. And of course, we are very happy to support Michael Rechtenwald over at AZAPAC, who is helping out your campaign. And we hope that you'll be able to sustain the momentum necessary, because capital is going to be necessary. But I also want to remind people of who you're going up against. Now, there's a lot of different clips that we could have pulled of Randy Fine. He has said a lot of atrocious but to me, I picked
that man.
That to me is it's very diplomatic on his part, but it's very honest. This is who is currently representing your district.
Senator Randy Fine. I'm the Republican nominee for Congress in the 6th Congressional District, the special election to replace Mike Waltz. And I'm honored to be here at the AIPAC Congressional Reception, because for me, there is no more important foreign relationship for the United States to have than with Israel. The fight that Israel has is the fight that we have, because the enemy that Israel is fighting over there wants to come to the United States as well. So I can't wait to get to Congress and make sure that I do everything possible that America stands with Israel and Israel stands with America.
Who stands with us?
No one.
Yeah.
No one.
Right.
Honor to be here, and I thank AIPAC for all the support they've given me.
Okay, so not only does he make it very clear that his top priority as a congressman is to support the state of Israel, but that he is a gleefully proud supporter and an endorser of AIPAC and what they stand.
I can't look at him.
No, he's tough to look at. But there's no question that I would imagine the overwhelming majority of people in your district, they do have buyer's remorse. I would like to believe that they do. And the only reason this guy is sitting in Congress right now is because the president of the United States gave his endorsement. And everybody basically ran behind that.
Well, I can tell you, if they didn't have buyer's remorse, we wouldn't have 6 candidates that have filed on the Republican side to run.
Right.
And a total of 12 candidates. If you look at the listing files, the 6th congressional district has more candidates than any other congressional district. And why? It's because of the blasphemous congressman that is named Randy Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was April Fool's Day when they were naming people, but Fine is not.
No.
Well,
And for people who don't know, Randy Fine was in our Florida legislature before he was sitting in Congress. And in our Florida legislature, he was a piece of shit. He's been
They-
always a piece of shit. This is someone who does not support my rights as a woman. This is someone who doesn't think I should be allowed to smoke cannabis if I feel like it. This is someone who is basically against every single thing that I stand for in this world. Like,
And
he is
what-
just like horrible human
and
being.
what is
And
the
against
other-
healthcare.
And what is the other distinction about Randy Fine from when he was in the state legislature to now in the federal legislature? What does he do now that he wasn't doing before?
Oh, now he wears his yarmulke. He wears his
Absolutely.
yarmulke every day. He never wore his yarmulke in Tallahassee.
Never did.
It's identity politics at its worst. 100% identity politics. I
Yeah.
mean, when we have people that say, oh, you can't wear your headscarf or whatever else. Randy Fine is the absolute most abysmal. If you put 10 people in a room and you tried to create the worst politician that you could imagine on paper, you would not believe this person exists.
Yeah.
He literally, when he was in the state legislature, withheld funding from the Brevard Zoo because they wouldn't let him host a fundraiser there. He called a school board member, and this is a quote, a whore, because they had a disagreement. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And
Yeah.
you're like, how in the world does this person actually fit anywhere into our political landscape? I mean,
I don't know how he fits anywhere.
Well, the irony of him saying in his very gargantuan position, no pun intended, that the Gazans should starve and that the streets of Gaza should be filled with blood. Yes, he is a bastard. There is no getting around that fact. And if you can get the support of this gentleman, I think that would be the real game changer in this election.
Randy Fine of Florida. And he said this the other day on Fox News last week. Quote, in World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here in Gaza. There is something deeply wrong with this culture and it needs to be defeated. So we're going to nuke Gaza because of its culture. We're going to kill everybody because we don't like the culture, which, by the way, lots of Christians in Gaza, Muslims in Gaza.
Just innocent people in Gaza of all kinds.
Of course, but like to say there's some like Gazan culture that's cohesive, it's like, what? But we're going to kill them all because we don't like their culture. And so I didn't believe that was real. I didn't really think he was a member of Congress. So I texted a friend of mine in Congress, is this really a member of Congress? Yes. I don't even know what to say to that, but that, first of all, it's evil, but how can you say something like that and not get expelled from Congress? How can that person be a member of the Republican Party?
Oh, Tucker's finally having such an awakening this past year. It's so glorious to watch. Let me count the ways in which somebody like that could be a member of the Republican Party. I mean, does he not know of people like David Duke, Strom Thurmond? Like, there are people like that part of that party. Like, the fact that this is news to him is fascinating to watch.
Which is why, Aaron, I think it is one thing that we've noticed probably over the past year, especially with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie in particular. There is definitely this, I don't want to call it a civil war because that's
A
really,
rift.
but there is definitely a divide. There is a divide. You want to call it MAGA on one side. I look at it as more of the old guard neocon Republican Party and either this America First Republican Party or just this America First movement that is breaking away from the old neocon guard of the two-party duopoly. How do you see it going forward?
Well, back to Mr., if you will, Fine and his rhetoric. After they released the hostages from Gaza, he put out a tweet, and I actually didn't know what it meant. So I had to go do a little bit of research and see what it meant. He said, they've released the hostages, glass, period. Well, what does glass mean? Glass means that is the temperature at which sand melts. So he was doubling down on the let's flatten Gaza with a nuclear bomb, even after all of this, even after they've released the hostages. So, I mean, this man has absolutely zero morals, period. as far as the rift in the Republican Party, I 100% agree. If you elect me, guess what? I'm going to be a lot more like Marjorie Taylor Greene than the rest of the Republican Party, because I know what's going on the ground. I can think for myself. I have common sense, and I'll tell you right from wrong. The fight that I'm in this congressional district, I truly believe is good versus evil. And I believe Randy Fine is evil to the core.